We've got a fabulous Sherpa review for you today. We have all non.com domains to discuss in the first segment of the review, including 2 acquisitions, one of which was a non.com acquisition on behalf of an end user. Very interesting case study. We also all learned something new about the .gg domain extension. Plus, one of our Sherpas has a spot-on guess on what the other one paid for a domain. Enjoy the show. Hey Sherpa Network, I'm Tess Diaz, Executive Producer of DomainSherpa.com, and today is a Domain Sherpa review panel. This is the show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. We will do the 3 usual segments to the review. We'll start off learning what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Next, we'll discuss in value an investor-submitted domain name portfolio. And finally, we'll preview some domains going to auction soon at NameJet.com and whether the Sherpas think they're a good fit for you. Joining us today are 3 past Sherpas and industry thought leaders. First, big hello to Jebidiah Burnett, my hero for being here today, Senior Premium Domain Consultant at GoDaddy. How you doing, Jebidiah?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
Delighted to see you. And Joe Uddeme, thanks for being here from NameExperts.com. What's going on?
Hey Tess, how are you? Good to be here. Happy to be back. Great to be with your audience again.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, and Josh Schoen, my neighbor from Ultra Domains. How you doing, Josh?
Good, good. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, delighted. So I moved this past weekend. Did I move closer to you or further away?
Ooh, let's see. I think we were pretty close in Arcadia. Now, did you move out of Arcadia?
I moved out of Arcadia.
Ooh.
So now we're like 10 minutes away.
Yeah. Well, that's not bad. It's all relatively close, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think before we were actually pretty close. We
were like 5 minutes away, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, pretty wild. So it's a small world in domains. You just got to meet people. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's jump in. What's new, Sherpas? So you're going to share a purchase or sale you've made over the past few weeks, and we get to learn what you paid or received for the domain, why you think it was a good deal or not, and how the negotiations progressed. So just remember, don't say the price so that the other folks can guess. Let's see. Joe, you're up first.
I am always lucky number 1 in this segment. I don't know what that's all about. But,
really?
It's funny how it works. But so the name is, I was a broker on this particular domain, and the name is demand.io.
Ooh, demand.io.
Good .io.
Okay. And you were
let me give you a little more information. I'll just give you a little context. I was approached by a buyer who wanted to acquire this domain name. It was a parked asset that was not being used, and that's kind of where I'll leave it.
Okay.
Now, one question I have, was it an investor or end user that wanted to buy it? Because that'll make the price drastically different.
Great question. It was an end user who had me try and negotiate a good fair market value for the asset.
Cool.
Good name.
It is a good name. And I know .ios are a little different, but that's the great thing about being a broker or an investor. You really get to learn different markets along the way, and you don't have to be an absolute expert in it to guess.
Sure.
And if I understand the story correct, you had a end user reach out to you to acquire a non.com domain name.
That is correct. That is correct.
It sounds pretty cool. So, who goes first? I think I got a good number on this one.
All right, fire away.
I think 17.5. I think that I'm not a huge expert in .io. I have to admit, I kind of skipped that one a little bit, but I think it's definitely low 5 figures. But I think about 17.5 would be good.
Okay.
I like the name though. I like the name a lot.
Yeah, me too. All right, what do you think, Josh?
Yeah. So .io is right in my wheelhouse. Yeah, it's an extension I really love and have been dealing with it for the past few years. Yeah, it's as far as .io goes, it's a really good one. Definitely fits the bill of what a top tier .io would be. Short, one word dictionary name. So noun, verb, multiple uses. So the price range can vary on these things. Could be 4 figures, could be 5 figures. The thing that leads me to believe that it might be higher rather than lower is the fact that you have a guy coming to Joe. You got to assume the guy has some sort of decent budget if he's going to actually hire a broker to try to buy a name, especially not a .com. So these things range in price on the end user side. I'm going to say 25. I'm going to say he had a pretty healthy budget, and I'm going to say he was willing to do 25. 25 grand.
Ding, 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 ding. Right on the nose.
Right on the
I thought
number.
17.5 was a good guess, but I got to tell you, it all started. I'll just give you a little more context on how the pricing came to be. It was a buyer who wasn't sure what the true value of the asset was. He looked to me for direction. Typically, the way that I value these things would be a percentage of the .com value. So I looked at the value of the .com and backed out a fair market valuation on the domain. And really, that's how we were able to make a deal work for both parties. So buyer and seller were happy. The client got the name that they wanted, and 25,000 was the final.
Wow. All right. Well,
nice job, buddy.
Yeah, that could be the first and only time I ever get one exactly right.
Well, Josh, you have to tell them the truth that you and I spoke 5 minutes ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I should have downplayed it a little bit.
Right, exactly.
You get the $100 bill now, though, right? So knitting it right on the nose, you get the $100
right.
bonus when you go up to see Drew or Bob. So.
Perfect.
I'll put it in the mail for you.
Yeah, perfect. And then I'll go out and buy a .io. Well, that's a good
deal.
Was seller education involved? Did the seller have a price in mind? Did the seller think it was worth more than 25 grand? How did that work?
The seller was, kind of open to something. I think in their mind, they were looking for something in the lower 5 range. But once they realized that we had a buyer that understood the true value of the asset and was going to give them more than anybody else in the market, they realized that it was a good deal for both sides. And really, that's part of the education process. They're very happy. My buyer's very happy. So again, win-win is what it's all about.
Was part of the pricing process also looking at any other TLDs or the lack of availability for demand in another TLD, like demand?
Yeah, my strategy, because I do so much in the comm space, that's what I base everything off of. So when I go to sell an IO, a co, it doesn't matter what the extension is. It's all based on the value of the comm, because I do so much there that I have my finger on it. I know what sells, what doesn't sell, what the price points are, and I can back it out based on that.
I mean, I think that's standard, that the pricing goes through the .com relative to that. But if the .co, .ai, everything else is taken, and .io is like the only one left, that sometimes skews things. Or were they only looking for .io?
In this particular instance, the client was only looking for that specific URL. There was no other exercise to try and bring them other inventory. It was, this is the name that we want. Let's try and zero in and see if we can make a deal happen. The seller was, non-responsive to them prior to. They had gone through other channels to try and get the name and were not successful.
Then they came to you.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I just think it depends. I mean, again, you have a buyer who kind of sets their, we set the expectation for the buyer, but at the end of the day, they're going to set the price. They're going to tell you what they're willing to spend. And if we can make a deal, then we get all parties involved. Really.
Yeah. Josh, you said something. There's feedback from somebody's microphone on me. I don't know if you know who it is, but.
I'm not sure. My room is pretty quiet here. So
I can mute. Let me mute mine and see if that's it.
Well, I'll just keep talking and see what happens. So Josh, you mentioned something that the verb and noun, that is like a secret passion of mine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute. And I don't know, I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe 80-20 of our audience gets it and the other % doesn't. I'm not sure which way. Let's give a couple examples or explain that.
Yeah, so, I think if, it just comes down to possible uses. If you have a dictionary word that is both a verb and a noun, it's going to have more applications, more possible uses, applications than if a word is just an adjective or just a noun or just a verb. So the fact that demand in this case is a verb and a noun, and could even be other things. Not a wizard with this stuff, but I know it's at least a verb and a noun. And so you have the action of demanding something, right? Like I demand you to do something. That's one possible use. You can make a play off of that. You have demand as a noun. There is a lot of demand for this product. I think the more different contexts that a word can be used in, the more uses there are, and it's not always going to raise the value, but in this case, demand is a great keyword. So in this case, kind of the sky was the limit for it.
Yeah,
I definitely think it's something to look at when you're evaluating a specific word.
So this may be a tough question to answer, Joe, but based on what Joshua just said, if you were the selling agent for that domain name, do you think 25,000 would have been a good deal for the seller at that point? Do you think you could have maybe gotten $10, $15, $20,000 more out of it being the seller agent versus the buyer agent? You're on mute.
Oh, hold on. I think I can. Hey, Joe. That's tricky. I have buttons where I can press unmute.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey, Joe, you were muted. Start again.
Yeah.
I'm back. Okay. I think it's a great question. I think it's very hard to answer because, in this case, I was representing the buyer, right?
Right.
We could always sit here and say the silver lining is, let's look on the flip side. If I was to put myself in the seller's shoes, could I have extracted more? There's always that possibility, right?
Right.
I think it's, I can't sit here and second guess myself. I feel like, honestly, and not just because I'm here talking to the audience, but I feel like it was a great deal for both sides.
Yeah. No, it absolutely was. It absolutely was.
I don't have as much experience in the alternative TLDs as I do with the com. So, when clients come to me and they need assistance, I'm more than happy to help. I don't want my buyers to overpay, nor do I want my sellers to feel like they're getting gypped. So it's really important to just try and make the match. And I think we did a pretty good job in this case of doing that.
It sounds like you did too. And I think in terms of timing, like if you were outbound selling this, it could have taken years to find someone.
Yeah, to make the match, right? So yes, I think you can say that on the sell side, it's a longer sales cycle, but yes, potentially if we would have, spun the wheels and gone after the end user, maybe we could have gotten them to 35, 40K. Hard to say. Again, you don't really know until you get out there. But
yeah, true. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah, congrats. It's a good sale.
Absolutely.
All right, Joe, next time you're on, I will not make you first. Jebidiah, you're up next.
It's okay, I don't mind.
I like going second, so we'll just keep it right here.
Duly noted.
So I think the last couple of times I've been on, it's been sort of a unique extension, either .com, then we went to a .uk, co.uk. And I think we're going to go back to my roots here. We're going to go with Parts.online.
Ooh, Parts.online. That is a lot of search volume, right?
A ton of search volume. So I will give a little bit of a backstory on it and make it a little bit fair. It is an investor who bought it. The search term is insane. The opportunity is insane, I think, personally. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of updated Gs. So, but I'll say it's an investor, so that'll be fair.
Okay. And this was part of the GoDaddy portfolio that you're outbound selling?
No, this was actually a Radix premium name. So this is a Radix registry name that was reserved. So still shows there's some great domain names available through multiple registries. This one.
And were you outbound selling this on behalf of Radix or someone?
Yeah. So this is part of my position here at GoDaddy is working with the new TLD registries to work with their platinum level names or their super premium names. This is sort of a name that fell into that category. So.
Very cool. All right, guys, what do you think?
Yeah, Josh.
All right. Well, yeah, so this isn't really a space I've dabbled in too much. So I'm just going to be probably throwing out a random number. I mean, I know some of these have sold for decent amounts, like, vacation.rentals and home.loans. I think that's probably all I really have to go off of. As far as like really good new Gs that span the dot, that, make a phrase that have really good search volume. So, those were investor sales, those were sales to end users. This is a sale to an investor. So, man, I don't know what an investor would pay for something like this, but let's just say if they had some vision, saw the potential. Let's say $20,000. I really don't know though, so I'm gonna be curious to find out.
What would you say an end user? Like if we switched it?
Gosh. Well, I personally haven't done any research on the keyword search volume, but you say it's pretty high. I mean, you'd think somewhere maybe in the low to mid 6 figures, possibly. I mean, I guess I'm going based off of those 2 sales that I saw before, but I mean, someone who really saw the vision and with plans to build it out. Yeah, I could see someone maybe paying that. What I'm saying doesn't come from too much experience, so take it all with a grain of salt.
There's been a few more than 2 new TLD sales. Just a few.
Yeah, no, I know. Those are like, some of the highly publicized, big boys, big hitters that I've personally heard about.
Yeah.
There's plenty more. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to say 20 grand and we'll see. Curious to see what Joe says.
I was going to go a lot lower. On the investor side, I'm going to say it's going to be at the most $5,000. And Joe's got a little up on you here, Josh. I did a little keyword search volume on this domain when you were chatting. It's actually pretty low. It's about 1,300 uniques per month. A pretty decent CPC and pretty low competition. So I'm going to say $5,000 as an investor price. High end on this particular domain, I'd say 22.5 at the most for an end user.
You sound very confident.
I'm always very confident.
Jebidiah, I'm very confident.
Can I change my vote now? Can I change my guess?
So an investor with very, very high knowledge of the new TLD market paid $21,500.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And this is
impressive.
This is based on which twofold for me. To sort of speak to Joe, certain groups of investors are understanding the value of the keywords as build outs right now. It's been said Google doesn't care about the extension. So if you're able to build a domain name with content and stuff like that, that's what matters. And so a domain name like this with a marketplace like Parts, I mean, it's so generic that anything falls underneath it. So the opportunity was there to create something pretty tremendous. on the flip side of that, for me, 21.5 comparatively to what I would have sold that to as an end user, a full-on end user, I probably would have put that closer to the $250,000 to $500,000 mark, where I've sold other domain names in that range. I did have interest before in higher levels. They didn't work through. So my opinion on this name is that he got a steal on it at 21.5 now. I mean, a lot of times there's questions about registries and their premium names and their platinum names. Are they overpriced? I didn't think so in this case.
What was the bin on it?
What's that?
What was the bin on it?
There was no bin. It's a platinum level name from Radix. So it's sort of take offers, negotiate through them. So they have a set price internally that they don't always share with us.
Sure.
But if we get there, we get there. If not, then they work with the buyer to get there. So.
Got
it. What type
Great
of
price? Great price.
What type of renewal comes with
standard renewal? Standard .online renewal, not a premium renewal.
That makes the investment a little easier.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. Nice. Well, yeah. Awesome sale. That's great.
Yeah, that really is. And are all the Radix domains, premium domains, are they standard renewal?
No. Radix has, similar to other registries, they have premium names with premium renewals, and then they have platinum level names with what I call platinum level names usually 25,000 or above with standard renewals.
Okay.
And actually, this was a platinum name. So
is there anywhere that an investor could go and look at the list of names held by the registry that are platinum level that they have to negotiate for if they want? See what's out there.
I don't know if there's a published full list from Radix that I'm aware of. I haven't seen that. Obviously, with my experience with other registries like Donuts, I know that they have posted premium names before. They've put out large chunks of their platinum names before, especially when they, before the merger with RightSide. I know RightSide put the platinum names out.
Okay.
But I honestly could not tell you if Radix has them out there, but
So
they
it
have.
sounds to me like if there's an investor who wants to learn more about this investment opportunity, they should just call you and talk through what they're interested in, what their experience is, what their budget is, and you guys can work together and see what's in the inventory that might be a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this was one name that the investor had interest in. I mean, if you're looking for, high CPC words or high search volume words, those names are available. There's definitely, the great part about my position at GoDaddy now is I can work with all the registries and I can work with .coms. So if that's something specific that you're looking for, there's opportunities in more than just one place. So.
Very nice. Cool. All right, Josh, you're up.
Good.
All right.
$100 coming out today.
All right, so I'm going to keep it non.com, which I wonder if this will be the first time this What's New Sherpas has ever been all non-coms.
We'll have to look it up. It might be.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with the other extension that I invest in a lot, .io. So I'm going to keep it .io like Joe. And now there's a couple possible domains. I want to see if any of you guys know the price already of feather.io. Did you guys see that one?
I
didn't know.
It sounds.
It was a buy. It was a buy. I bought it.
You bought it. Okay. I vaguely remember seeing it like 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't remember the price, to be honest with you.
So maybe we'll go with that one.
That's fine. It would be a stab in the dark for me. I wouldn't.
Yeah, sure. All right. So this was back in late August, I want to say. I purchased feather.io.
So I like feather.io. I think it's a good name. Feather is a noun, pronounceable word, not too hard to spell. There's definitely some upside there. As an investor, I'd say you wouldn't spend more than 10K on the name. Probably your sweet spot would be around 7,500. If it was an end user name, again, we could be pushing low to mid 5 figures. But I'd say up to 7,500, 10K max for you. And that's only if you really love the name. And I think you like the name. I don't know if you love the name.
I like it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of connotations to it. It's,
Yeah.
Delicate, maybe attentive, detailed, maybe something with ink and writing, floating, easy, light, soft, a lot of positive and kind of easy, but a sophisticated easy connotations. So could definitely see a business using it down the line. Jebidiah, what do you think?
I was actually right in line with Joe. I was thinking 7,500, like right when he said it and knowing that he acquired it. But then he said, I like it, I don't love it. So
I do love it. I do love it.
Okay. So
don't let that sway your guess though.
Okay. I'll just to change the number, I'd go 7,900, maybe a little bit more because you love it now. But yeah, for an acquisition, I think that would be sort of the top end of probably where you would have been. I don't know you that well, but I can imagine that you're not throwing money away. If you are, let me talk to your garbage guy.
You're right.
But yeah, I'd say 7,900.
Okay. So I do love the name. It's probably one of my favorite .io domains that I have right now. But for me, so you guys actually guessed quite a bit higher. So I acquired it for, which is good. I like to hear that actually. I acquired it for just under $1,500.
Wow.
I think the price. So, and I can give a little story of the name and the purchase, but I think the price in US dollars came out to 1,471 exactly. So yeah, so right in there, I felt super comfortable because I think it's has good potential to be a 5-figure .io. Great keyword. I love the keyword. A lot of companies are called Feather, startups as well as older companies. So yeah, very happy with the purchase price, and I think upside's big and downside is very low, which is always where I like to be when I acquire a name. But yeah, so I can give a little story about how this purchase came about. So I noticed that some seller listed the domain at Cedo, and I think it was make offer, if I'm not mistaken, maybe with a minimum offer on there, and I'm not exactly sure. I think maybe the buy it now, and it was in pounds. That I think they're over in London. I think the buy now was maybe £1,500 or something. If there was a buy now, I can't remember exactly, but I think my first offer I threw out was, and this is all through the Cedo platform, not directly via email. I think I threw out maybe £800 offer, and that got countered, I think, with maybe £1,300, and then I maybe came up to £1,000, and he came back at £1,200, which at the time the USD equivalent was just under 1,500. And so I actually, I wanted the name for a little cheaper. Looking back, that would have been a fine purchase price. But I think I pushed maybe to hold firm at 1,000, and my offer got denied, I believe. So then a little time went by, and I'm like, man, maybe I should have just, accepted the offer of 1,200. Oh,
How much time? Like 3 months or like a week?
oh, like how much time went by? Probably like a week.
Okay.
Probably like a week went by where, where I could have gotten it for 1,200 pounds, but then I didn't. And then I was like, crap, I should have. So then what happened? I re-engaged. I made an offer of 1,200 pounds. And then what happened was the seller pushed it to auction. And I'm like, crap, I could have had it for 1,200 pounds. Now it's going to go to auction. Now other people are going to see it. And the minimum bid is now 1,200 pounds. And luckily, somehow I turned out to be the only bidder. And it closed at 1,200. So I got it for 1,200 pounds. And the USD equivalent was just under $1,500. And so that's how it happened. And I'm pretty happy with the purchase price. I think the upside's pretty big. I love the keyword. One of my favorite .ios I have right now.
Great name.
Good story. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, kind of a long story there, but that's what happened.
That's how a lot of negotiations go. And it's neat to hear the back end on what people are thinking and why, because sometimes you just get an email that says no, and then one that says, hey, whatever happened.
Yeah. And so I think, at least for me, I think the most I've ever paid for a .io is maybe 2,500. I do know that auction prices on platforms like Parts.online for the really good names, investors are paying a lot more than that. I just personally haven't paid that much because, I think if you need to get rid of it, let's say you need to cash out, I think once you get up as investment, once you get up into the mid to high 4 figures, I think it could be tough to find an investor to pay you your money back for the name. I think, if you're buying, and this is just for me personally, if you're buying in the lower 4 figures, I think it's a little easier. And to me, that really limits the downside and makes liquidity easier. So that's, my sweet spot for the best names. I like buying. If I'm going to pay up, I like buying in the $1,000 to $2,500 range. I'm not opposed to paying higher, if it's a bang on keyword. But that's kind of where I like to buy it for .io.
Oh, great. So now they know what to guess every other time.
Yeah. Well, hey, it could be lower, it could be higher. You'll never know.
Nice. That's a good buy. Good for you. Before we jump into domain, no, we're not going to domains, going to auction. We're going to go into the investor review. Karen sent us a really good list. She spent a lot of time looking it over and coming up with what to send in. But first, let me tell you about our advertisers who support us in this mission to educate people in the domain community.
First, serious about online trading? Secure your funds, keep your merchandise safe, and use a company that keeps the buyer and seller protected the whole way through. That's escrow.com. Payments you can trust.
All right. In the domain portfolio review, we take user-submitted domain name portfolios and provide honest and constructive feedback to the owners so they can either cut their losses, continue to hold them long-term, or figure out a sales strategy going forward. So Karen S. sent over this list. It's about 23 domains, I believe. And Josh, you are up first. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, let's see. So prior to the taping, I looked over this list, and I don't know. I don't like to be harsh at all, but I don't personally like that much on this list. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of names on here that are keyword based, but a lot of them don't really make that much sense. When you're putting 2 keywords together, usually you want it to make sense. You want it to either be a phrase or just 2 really good words together, like blue panda or something. Looking at this list, like burgersfirst.com, there could that could be good for maybe a burger chain, but I think when you really have to stretch to think about who could possibly use this name and what it could be used for, I think that's where you get in trouble. Fab Facial actually, to me, isn't too bad. Maybe that has some potential for a day spa or something that offers facials. Fab is a good keyword to come first when you're pairing two keywords together. Short for fabulous. Let's see, what else do I like on here or dislike? Let's see. Those are a couple that stood out to me. Names like WePackAll.com, just, it doesn't really make sense to me. I'm not sure who would use it. Ready to Reel, again, I think that's a stretch. Maybe it could be used in fishing, but who's really going to pay that much for it? I don't love the list. Unfortunately, there's not too much on here I would personally buy or hang on to.
What would you list Fab Facial for, like a bin price?
What would I list it at?
Mm-hmm.
If I was going to sell it? I haven't done any prior research to see how many, possible end users or how much actual usage it has in the marketplace. But, to me, that could be a low 4-figure ask maybe. I could see, but then again, a lot of day spas are, and people that offer facials are smaller mom and pop businesses, so they might not be willing to pay that much.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'd ask, high 3, low 4 for a name like that. It is catchy. I like the alliteration. I love, names that have alliteration. I think they're catchy and make good brands, but the usage on the name isn't that high or wide. So I think that limits potential a little bit, but at least that's one on the list that I don't dislike a lot.
Okay.
Also,
Thanks, Josh.
But curious to see what the other guys think.
All right. Joe, what stands out to you?
Nothing. I know that. I'm just kidding. There are two names on here that I think are, might hold a little bit of value, but when I say a little bit of value, we're talking sub 5K at the most. Ski Inc., which is on the second page, SKIINC. I think that's a good brandable for a company that sells skiing equipment. There are a lot of companies out there trading under or called Ski Inc. or have Ski Inc. in their name. So I think that that's something that could potentially be sellable. The other one I like on this list is Shoptions, which I think is a brandable. It's a little bit hard to pronounce, but there's a little bit of brand appeal there. You could make the case that there might be some end user that would see appeal and upside and want to buy something like that. Everything else on here, I would tell the owner, these are just not good investments, at least in my personal opinion. What is your end user game? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to build a portfolio that you could eventually sell? In which case, I think you need to reevaluate your position and pay a little bit more attention to the Sherpa network to find out what makes a good domain name. So those are the only two that I personally like in this list. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and I think there's a bunch of names that could easily be dropped out of this list.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a good summary. Jebidiah, what are your thoughts?
You do this a lot to me, Tess. Like I'm like Joshua. I don't like to be mean, but
are you saying I'm mean?
No. So with Ski Inc., I liked Ski Inc. It caught my attention. I'm never a fan of double vowels ever. I know it's a unique case because it's Ski and it's Inc. But I'm obviously biased towards updated extensions. But if I'm going to do an Inc., like Ski Inc., where I have a double vowel, I would probably encourage my client to look at ski.inc or something like that. But that's me. The rest of the list, when I started looking at the domain names and sort of looking up the domain names, I kind of got the impression that the registrations were based on brands' products. If you do a search for the names, a lot of them sort of pull up as a product of another brand. And that scares me because you get one end user per name. And so if you can't get that buyer to, or that brand to buy their product name, and they haven't made a play to get that product name, it's going to be a difficult sledding for you on a portfolio of names built that way. Fab Facial caught my attention as well, but then I did a search for Fab Facial and one company shows up all over the board. And it's actually called Fab Facial First Aid Cream or something like that, by another product. Eggs First, I thought was kind of interesting, just like unique, but it's Eggs First. I think it had something to do with embryonic issues. Far and away from probably all the other reviews I've done, I would say cut bait on the list. It refocus, like Joe said, maybe watch a couple past Sherpas, listen to Drew, listen to Mike, listen to just different panels, and maybe rethink what you're trying to achieve, who your buyers are. Open your buyers up, maybe buy less names but better names. I'm not sure the position that you're in, but I think most of us are firm believers. Spend a little bit more money on a better name than quality over quantity is going to be more beneficial in the long run. So yeah, to be kind of the mean one on today's panel, I wouldn't keep any of it. I just don't see a big enough return on any of them. So
Hey, it takes a lot of heart to not be the nice guy sometimes.
I still love you though, whoever sent it in.
Yeah.
It's not like being mean. It's just focus. You got to focus, and you got to, it's domain investing is not just grab stuff that drops. It's, there's got to be work to it. So.
Yeah. And you don't want to get sued either. I mean, none of us are lawyers or given legal advice, but don't base a portfolio on what a bunch of other companies probably have trademarks and lawyers.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. I think another thing to say is, imagine if you had to sit down and tell your friends why someone is going to come along and buy poisongift.com, or why someone is going to buy, cheaplocale.com. Even something like iced fruities. It's like, okay, how am I going to sell those online?
Right.
Yeah, we say it all the time that if you need to explain why your domain is valuable, then it really just doesn't hold any value. You should never have to explain. Your name should automatically tell the whole story right away, right? And that's how we build a foundation. That's what we preach every single day. And so really, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what it's all about. That's the foundation of the brand.
Yeah. And you can take that in practice. Like I look at demand.io and instantly I see all these different billboards in my head. And Parts.online, I already see scrolling through all the auto parts. Feather.io, I don't instantly see what they're going to do with it, but I do see what their commercial is going to feel like, and that's important. And also whether it's a phrase or try to put it in a sentence like, hey, I'm going to run by, I'm going to spend some time on Parts.online to see what I need. Or, yeah, I'll be over. I just have to stop at Starbucks and at demand.io. You can hear that. Whereas, burgers first, kind of like, I've never heard anybody say that phrase, or it doesn't sound like a burger joint doesn't sound like burgers first.
Yeah, they're all stretches. And another point I want to make that I forgot to touch on is I went to a bunch of these domain names before the taping, and it didn't seem like really any of them had for sale landers on them. I don't think with these names in particular, they're going to be getting that much direct type-in traffic to them. So it might not matter, but just as a general practice, any names that you're buying as investment that you actually have a desire to resell, you should probably throw up a way for people to contact you. You could just throw up a page that has your email on it on the domain name, or you could put up a lander, whether it's FD Lander or Uni or Dam.com. I mean, if you really want to sell these names, you should have a way for people to get in contact with you. I think some of them that I visited just went to a Cedo parked page, but it didn't even have like this name is for sale hyperlink on it. So yeah, I think she probably, it might not be necessary for these, because I think these names, she should probably drop most of them and kind of start over. But yeah, general practice, it's a good idea to do.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Can I touch on that? Just, I think, Joshua, I mean, yeah, granted, these names are probably not going to get any type in traffic, but maybe one.
Yeah,
and
you never know.
It's for sale, and they have no, it is such a unique name or absolutely a brandable name that the one person that may be looking for that, if they go to it and they realize that it's not for sale, it is such a sort of out there word, like Burgers First, for example, that, well, let's just be First Burgers. Like they'll switch it and they'll find something that they do see is available for either for sale or available to register. So always make sure that if you're selling your domain names, that there's an easy way for people to.
Yeah, totally. I'd agree. And also to touch on that, I think, if there are a ton of alternatives for, just to piggyback on what you were saying, if there's a ton of alternatives for specific names, that's where you get in trouble too. Like, take a name like I was saying earlier, like bluerocket.com. If you were to switch it, rocketblue.com, that's completely different. There's not really any other alternatives. Even if you did bluerockets.com, that's a different brand. But like you were saying, for Burgers First, maybe First Burgers would be a equally good brand, or Burger First without, burger being singular rather than plural. So when looking to invest in names, especially like 2-word or 3-word names like this, try to pick names that don't really have that many alternatives, because if there are a ton of different alternatives, you're just giving potential buyers or that one person that might be interested in the name, you're not giving them a reason to pay up for your name if they can just go out and hand rag 10 other variations and run with them.
Right.
That's true. And, not that you want to be buying domains because someone already, like, I looked up Lunch Pit. I'm like, what is that? And there is, I wonder, I certainly hope that she came up with that idea on her own, but there is a place with 57 likes on Facebook called Lunch Pit. Guess what? Places that have 57 likes are never going to be able to pay you for the domain name, and they're just as happy with their Facebook at that point. And so number one, what I said before, you don't want to be buying from, names that are likely trademarked or in use, especially like you said, Jebidiah, by only one end user. But in addition, the domains that you buy in general, you want to envision either or both a lot more than just one buyer, and also someone who's going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars off this website, or they're not going to pay you $1,000 for this domain name. They have to develop a product or service, develop a website, develop a marketing plan, and have a domain name. So, something that is never, like maybe Poison Gift, I don't know if that was like a gag gift or something. How many of those are they going to sell? Is that going to go national or global? Never. So if they're going to make $50 a month off of a website that they have to invest thousands to build, they're not going to pay more than $10 for the domain that goes with that, So thinking it through that way.
Yeah, that's that almost seems like a step up from like the glitter bomb presents that you can mail to like your enemies.
So
you'd rather I send you a poison gift than a gift?
It's like, okay, well, let's take it up a notch. Let's get a little more nasty. Let's send poison. That's
duly noted, neighbor.
With that name, poisongifts.com. I mean, there's alternatives. Again, it's a stretch.
Yeah, even the glitter bomb place wasn't called glitterbomb.com, right?
Yeah, I don't
Although
even know.
none of us remember what it was called.
I mean, I've sent a lot of them out, but yeah, I have not. But
Was that you?
yeah, exactly.
And actually, if I can piggyback on something Joe said a little bit, just for ease of explanation, like when I'm working with end users that may not know, or domain investors who are getting started, like Joe was saying, if you have to explain the domain name, like it's not a good choice. But I actually make it simpler than that. I just say it's like a good joke. If you have to explain a joke, it's not good anymore. And so they sort of, people understand that, and that has to be true with domain names. If you have to explain it, your end market is just not big enough, and it cut bait. So
yeah, that's that's a good comparison to a good joke, and like I think we can all relate to that. Although I never tell jokes that need to be explained. All right, and Karen, thank you very much for sending this in. It takes a lot of courage to send it in and to hear some challenging feedback, but it really is a challenge to you because clearly you've come this far. You are interested in learning and growing, and that's where you're going to get somewhere. So I really hope that the review has been helpful to you and that we keep in touch. Maybe we'll meet up at NamesCon in January, or definitely keep in touch and, send us a list a year from now and let's see how things have developed for you, because this is in a lot of ways a typical new investor portfolio. So, you got to start somewhere. So before we jump into domains going to auction soon, I'll tell you about our advertisers who support us in our educational mission.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at FT.com. That's EFTY, FT.com.
So we'll move on to the marketplace list. This segment is sponsored by NameJet. We're reviewing domain names heading to auction soon. If you like one of the names below, you do need to click through pretty soon, because once the auction begins, you lose your chance not only to bid, but even just to watch. They're not commission links, but they do want to know what kind of traffic we're sending. So for transparency, no one owns or is brokering any of these names, right?
Correct.
All righty. So Jebidiah, you are up first. What are your thoughts on this list?
it's the new TLDs in me. There's so many names on here that have updated extensions available. So Pot Service, Safari Guides, Social Evolution, Clubber's Guide, which I guess in turn means I like those names. I like Pot Service. Obviously, cannabis is cannabis. It's a market that's growing, and it's there. Live Games is huge. I really like that name. There's been a lot of both public and non-public sales for games-related domains. Obviously .games plus not .games. So I like that. I think that's a great name. Those were probably the two that really stuck out to me that I liked. Assassins is a cool name, but it's a gaming name, so it kind of falls into, or I think it's a gaming name, fall into gaming. But,
probably, yeah. Do you think the Assassins will send poison gifts?
What's that? Yes, there you go. You can do a joint purchase, buy those together. It's short-lived business, but hey.
Short-lived.
Domains are funny. Domains can be funny.
Yeah.
But,
so do you have thoughts on what you would pay or what you think they'll go for, the two that you really had your eye on?
I think Pot Service might go for 500-ish. Probably not too much, but I like the name. Live Games, I think, should be in low 5 figures, 10, 15, maybe more. There are significant market comps right now for a name like that if you can get in at 20, 25,000, that's a good investment in my opinion. I could see it going for that. Clever's Guide, probably same thing, around 500 to.
I put a typo in what I sent you, gentlemen. Craftfairs.com. I went through and tried to capitalize it, but I put a G. So it's craft fairs, which are pretty popular across America or globally or whatever. So there's that one. All right, Josh, what are your thoughts here?
All right, so yeah, there's some good names on this list. I like Pavilion. My only Pavilion.com. My only hesitation with that name is that there's two spellings of Pavilion, one L and two L. So with names like that, it kind of lessens my interest a little bit, because I feel like, you know, for now, here's the thing. It doesn't, like, for me, I wouldn't be the end user on that name. So it's not really going to matter for me to own both names. But I feel like for a brand, an end user that's going to come along and buy those names, it would probably be wise to have both spellings, one L and two L's. Now there are probably there's probably going to be demand for both names from end users, so it's fine. It, you know, could still make a fine investment, but I do like to think of it from the end user's point of view, or possible point of view. So yeah, that it's a good name. It's just the two spellings thing is, you know, can be a little iffy sometimes. I like so ionizers. I like, as opposed to electricscooter.com, which I think would be better as a plural, electricscooters.com. If someone's going to be starting up a e-commerce store selling electric scooters, I think they'd probably want electricscooters.com, not the singular. Whereas ionizers.com, I like that. If you're in the business of selling ionizers, it's a thing that they put in, like, air purifiers to help purify the air. I like that. If you're going to be starting up a business to sell ionizers, that's the bang on exact match keyword right there. Craft fairs is cool. I mean, there's tons of craft fairs all over. That's kind of the name that seems like a build out to me. Like you actually need to build that one out to really get some good value from it. Yeah, same with Safari Guides. That's ripe for being a directory of Safari Guides. Yeah, some good names on here. Assassins is cool. I am like Jebidiah. He was probably thinking of Assassin's Creed. That's probably why gaming came to mind. That's what comes to mind for me too. Yeah, cool name. Yeah, it's a decent list, and I'll leave some for Joe too.
Thanks, Josh. All right, Joe, what do you think?
You know, I really liked fun, but obviously we had to take that off of our list. So on here, there are two names that stick out to me. Electric Scooter, would it surprise you to know that there's about 246,000 local searches per month around that keyword? That's on the singular. That's not on the plural. The plural gets about 33,000 per month. So, you know, the singular, in my opinion, has more value here. There's also significantly high competition around the keyword. Are very good cost per click. I'd say that's the best name on the list. I'm not a huge fan of two-word.coms, but, you know, looking at search volume, that would probably be my number one choice. I like ionizers. I think it's a good product name. $40,000. I wouldn't go any higher than that. I think that's a good fair market value for that domain name. Live games is also catchy and brandable. The game space is huge. As you may or may not know, there's a lot of trading being done right now around the .gg extension, which is heavily involved on live games. So, you know, I think that there's some value there as well. But, you know, all in all, I don't love all the names on this list. I'd say those are my top three. You know, we could nitpick and look at some other ones as well. But for the most part, ionizers, live games, and electric scooter.
Thanks, Joe. What did you just say about .gg?
The .gg extension is really, so it's something that I recently learned as well from another one of my colleagues in the space, but gaming is very large, and a lot of these larger companies that are really into gaming have gone after the .gg extension because it has something to do with, I don't know if it's got games or there's some kind of significance there, which I found to be very interesting. But the game space is huge. I mean, it's only growing daily. People continue to game, including my children, which I would prefer that they don't do. But anyway, I digress. I would say that it is a pretty good name. I don't like it as much as the other two on the list.
And what did you mean about a lot of trading? A lot of domain trading, business trading?
Businesses. So these are businesses like, some of your larger players that have always been about their own brand are now going out and securing these additional .gg extension domains that are related to their brand or just related to a segment within their brand, tapping into that gaming side.
Interesting. Okay.
I have a question for Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, oneword.com seemed to be your wheelhouse, your bread and butter. What are your thoughts on pavilion.com and the two spellings thing?
I think you bring up a great point. I kind of decided to stay away from that domain because I had some experience marketing that asset for the owner in the past. So I just didn't really want to go there. But for the most part, it's an okay name. I think the biggest problem with that, you hit the nail on the head, Josh, is the double spelling, right? It's very confusing to people. If you're truly trying to build a brand around Pavilion, you really need to own both of those extensions because half of your audience will easily navigate to the incorrect spelling in this case.
Sure.
Okay, so I just read everything I could in that amount of time. So GG in actual usage is usually referencing good game, which is what people say at the end of a multiplayer video game. And a big thing on Discord in particular, discord.gg. And the .gg TLD itself is actually for the country it's the bailiwick of Guernsey, which is off of the English Channel near the French coast, a self-governing British Crown dependency known for its beach resorts. It is commonly used, .gg is commonly used for video games and esports websites. And they do have co.gg, net.gg, org.gg, so a lot like, since they're so connected to England, a lot like the British usages. And interesting.
It's pretty cool when you see, a seemingly random CCTLD get adopted for something like this, like a esports, or that's pretty neat because it, not just from a domain investor's point of view. Well, from a domain investor's point of view, maybe that creates some sort of market, but I don't know. It's kind of neat.
Yeah,
well, it's good for the brand, right?
So it came from the common usage. If everybody's commonly saying GG, everybody knows that term, and that's kind of neat. And if you go to the Wikipedia page, they list the top, I assume, because it just says popular.gg examples. Very cool. Learn something new every day.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Oh, one name we didn't actually hit on, nobody mentioned, was Myanmar.com, the country.
I don't love it. I think it's such a small country, and there's, really, I look at it this way, how many people are actually typing in Myanmar, right? I just don't think that you're getting that much search. If you want to go somewhere like that, you'll do your diligence and you won't go directly to the website of Myanmar. You'll find other locations to do research and get the information that you need. That's my personal opinion.
Well, plus it not only is it a tiny country, but it also goes by Burma. So
yeah,
multiple names, right? Confusion.
Yeah.
There is some tourism, I believe. I almost went there when I did a Southeast Asia trip with a friend. We were thinking about going there. So I know there is some sort of tourism there. Maybe there could be a tourism play, but again, yeah, like Joe said, I don't think it's not like Thailand.com or Vietnam.com, where those are just, places where people go. a lot when they're going to Southeast Asia.
But it would be really cool to own the domain of a whole country.
That would be cool.
I have a few of those, by the way.
Oh, really? Personally?
No, not the NameFind portfolio. We have a few of those.
Would you care to share?
I'd have to look them up again, but we have a few. You could reach out to me, Jebidiah at GoDaddy.com.
Oh, all right, Jebidiah at GoDaddy.
I'll send you the names. We can talk about them more.
Cool. Okay, yeah, that'd be fun. This was a good show, guys. Thank you. Shout outs. What's going on? Brokering opportunities you're looking for, new things, new developments. Jebidiah, no, just kidding. Joe, you're up first. What's going on?
Great. Always happy to help my clients out with the buy side. The buy side is really my passion, helping clients negotiate fair market valuations for domain names. So feel free to check out nameexperts.com at your earliest convenience and drop me a line. I'll be more than happy to further assist if I can.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
How about you, Jebidiah?
What Joe said, just don't find me at nameexperts.com. So no, it's it's been great. Like we're going on like 7 months now with GoDaddy, and I'm excited about where everything's going. It's great going through and finding stuff that we have that we didn't even really realize we had. So same sort of thing. If you're looking for oneword.coms or unique opportunities, just reach out. We're happy to either assist in what we have or, work with people like Joe or Joshua to locate what you're looking for and get it for you. So just Jebidiah at GoDaddy.com. So
good. Thanks, Jebidiah. How about you, Josh?
Let's see. Not too much going on my end. I don't do too much brokering. Occasionally help someone buy a name or sell a name, but I'm just buying and selling for myself personally. Sometimes partnering up with other investors to get deals done. But my what I'm mainly buying and selling is .com, .io, and .co. I don't really deal with too much else. But yeah, I'm always looking to buy names. Especially oneword.coms. Love them. If you ever need to get rid of one, anybody ever needs to get rid of one, email me, Josh. Josh at ultradomains.com. Feel free to send them. I'll probably get a bunch of lists of garbage coming my way soon. But, it's pretty typical. But no, not too much else going on here. So.
Well, sometimes that's a good thing. Yeah. And actually, I have a question. Do you prefer Joshua?
Either way, Joshua, Josh. I mean, I kind of started going with Joshua in a professional, business setting, just because it rolls off the tongue better with my last name. But yeah, most people call me Josh, but I'm not opposed to Joshua either. Okay. I'll look over my shoulder and answer to both.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. I have had a busy couple of weeks setting up for media options with Sean Markey. I don't know if you guys read or saw any of that, but Sean Markey is an SEO expert who's partnered up with Media Options for a new newsletter of domains at auction that have SEO authority. So it's been quite the process getting it all set up, and I'm excited to roll it out of my arena and just over to him. But it's kept me busy and entertained. That newsletter is hilarious. Sean is hilarious, and he's an SEO/SEM guy, and his initials are SEM.
Wow. It was meant to be.
I know, right?
Now he just needs to buy SEM.com and he'll be all set.
Right.
Well, he has the LinkedIn username of I don't know what it is, like LinkedIn/user or whatever the standard is. And
right.
I'm all proud of myself that I have Tess Diaz. No, he has SEM. And the crazy thing is he didn't get it 16 years ago either. He got it a year ago. So.
Wow.
Impressive. That itself could probably have some value to some marketing companies or something.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Oh, who knows? Yeah. But it's been a good show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for dealing with our scheduling issues, my internet line getting cut, and Rosh Hashanah was busy for all. So thanks, guys. See y'all next time.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for
Thanks,
having me.
Tess.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See you, Jeff.